4,000 damage. I actually have a whole army.
Hey there.
We got Terraria with infinite accessories. Well, not infinite, more like 200. But you get the gist, it's gonna be a lot. Anyways, we're gonna see how overpowered I can get. And Terraria's difficulty, I'm gonna be adding a 2x multiplier to the next boss's health after I kill the boss before that. You know, just to make it a little harder, because obviously it's gonna be quite easy if I don't. Early game, basically the same, you know, chop down some trees, go mining, get some heart crystals. And I'm playing summoner, so I'm over the snow biome. Get some flinks stuff to craft the flinks set. Get some more heart crystals. Go to the underground jungle to make the snapthorn. And you guessed it, more heart crystals. Broke a crimson heart so the goblin army could pull up. Oh yeah, I also went up to the sky, looted some sky islands, got some decent items. Anyways, after doing all the early game necessities, I had my snapthorn, my flink staff, the flink's coat, and max HP. I had some okay accessories, but I couldn't really get a lot to exploit the number of accessory slots I had. And it's time for the first boss. I have Cthulhu. I mean, this is gonna be a normal fight, bro. And a normal fight it was. I didn't have a crazy amount of accessories, nor were there any boss multipliers, so this was just your regular summoner I have Cthulhu fight. There we go. Got the Shield of Cthulhu. And now it was time to raise the next boss's difficulty, which was the Brain of Cthulhu. And while I was making an arena for the Brain, a Goblin army actually pulled up. So I went back to base, cleared the Goblin army, and found the Goblin Tinkerer. You know, it's always a must to have the Goblin Tinkerer in any playthrough. But in this playthrough specifically, where the entire thing is based off having a bunch of accessories, this was a huge step forward. Anyways, next up, I fought the Brain. You know, this fight is also pretty normal except it had double HP, so it just took a little longer. And right now he has 2x HP. See that? 14,000 health. Anyways, it's just a regular Brain of Cthulhu in Master Mode. So 2x XP, like, there's not much to say. It was still pretty easy, but one thing was in a second phase where he would confuse you with 4 other clones. Like, that lasted longer, so I guess it's a little more difficult. But my summons just chased down the right one every time, so it wasn't really an issue. There we go, second boss down. Anyways, after killing the Brain, I was able to craft the Deathbringer pickaxe, which allowed me to go down to hell and get some hellstone, craft my next weapon, which would be the imp staff. I was also able to make my next armor set, which was the obsidian armor. Anyways, the next boss on the agenda was the Queen Bee. Now the Queen Bee is very crucial to this playthrough because it will unlock the pygmy necklace. Now with this mod, I'm also able to stack accessories as well, so I would be able to have a butt ton of pygmy necklaces, so I'd have a lot more summon. Alright, next boss, Queen Bee. Now this fight actually took a while. As you can see, the Queen Bee had 24,000 health, and right now that is not proportional with my strength because I don't have the pygmy necklace yet, but once I unlock that, I'll be in a whole new game. So other than that, the fight was actually pretty easy, it just took a while. One thing I like to point out is that nearing the end of the boss fight, it actually started getting a little difficult because that's when Queen Bee starts moving a lot faster, and that phase lasted way longer because, well, the boss has more HP. But I still made it through. Obviously, just something I want to point out, you know, I'm just a goat, like, that doesn't bother me at all. Finally, bro. I decided to use the Hornet Staff instead of the Imp Staff because the Imp Staff has some issues with iframes, and when I start getting a lot of summons, that's going to lower my DPS a lot, so the Hornet Staff is the better option. Now that the Witch Doctor is here, I can start stocking up on some pygmy necklaces. I was able to buy 3, but I'm going to need much more, but that needs a lot of money. And what did I do about getting the money? I fought a couple King Slimes, man. but that was nowhere near enough gold. I was only to get one more pygmy necklace. So I went and mined some hellstone to sell. I also sold some crimtane bars, but that's when I found the white string meta. Now, let me tell you about the white strings. They only cost 30 cobwebs to make, and they're really cheap to reforge. And I don't know why I didn't do this before, but I could just stack up on so many white strings and get a bunch of good reforges on them for more damage, defense, you know? And that's how I can abuse my accessory slots right now. Anyways, the next thing I wanted to do was fight Skeletron, so I started making the arena at the dungeon. And then when it was finally night, I fought Skeletron, but sadly, my DPS output was not high enough for his health. Yeah, I still wasn't on par with the multiplier because I didn't have enough pygmy necklaces. So then it finally became daytime and there was no point in fighting him anymore. So I needed gold. And how did I get that gold? Well, I did a blood moon and then I killed 4 king slimes and sold all the loot. And then I was able to buy 9 pygmy necklaces. I also fought some Eye of Cthulhu's to get even more gold for more pygmy necklaces. Like if the point didn't come across, but I need that gold, dude. I need as many pygmy necklaces as possible. And then I fought even more king slimes for even more gold for even more pygmy necklaces. And then on the next night, I came back for my rematch. This time I was much more prepared. I had a whole army with me, and Skeletron did not stand a chance. I mean, I was moving at a much better pace. His hands were down by 9:30, and his head came down shortly after. After defeating Skeletron, the dungeon was open to me, and I was looking for 2 items. The first, the Cobalt Shield, which would grant me immunity to knockback for 1 accessory slot, but I already have a bunch of those, so it's free. And the other one is the Bewitching Table, which allows me another minion slot. Actually, there was one more thing I was looking for as well, which is the Shadow Key, which will allow me to open the Shadow Chest in the Underworld, where I can sell all the items for some good gold. After finding all 3 of the items I needed, I went back to base and made my new whip, the Spinal Tap. And then I tried fighting the Wall of Flesh, but that didn't end well. Basically, when the Wall of Flesh is very low, he starts shooting lasers very quickly and moves very fast. But you kill him quickly usually, but I couldn't do that here since he has way more HP. So obviously, I needed more money for more pygmy necklaces for more DPS. And how did I get that money? I fought King Slimes. I fought King Slime over and over and over and over again. And then I got even more pygmy necklaces. And then I fought King Slime again. I've killed King Slime over 100 million times. And now I had a lot more pygmy necklaces. And I also abused the white string meta even more. And then it was time. Time for my rematch. Come on. Oh my god. And now I reached the second stage of the game, hard mode. I popped the demon heart for another accessory slot. And then like any regular summoner, I went to the spider biome to get spider armor and spider staff. And then I mined some hardboard ores, the most boring part of the game. Then I shimmered my emblem to a summoner emblem, killed some pixies and wyverns for the fairy wings. Now it's time for my first hard mode boss, the Queen Slime. Why the Queen Slime? because I need the blade staff, which is going to be really strong, especially with all my minion slots. But this fight was pretty easy, other than the fact that it just took a while. And the reason I'm still using the Hornet staff is the spider staff seems to have like a iframe limit on how many spiders can attach. So basically, if there's more than a certain amount of spiders, it won't add more damage. Blade staff. Yeah. He got the blade staff first try. It was kind of lucky. Then I went over, reforged it. And then when I summoned them all, it actually looked insane, bro. Holy. But yeah, after that I fought Queen Slime again, and it was much quicker. Then I went and got some truffle worms, because you gotta fight Duke Fishron before the mech bosses. That's just how the game has to be played, no matter what. But anyways, this was not a good idea. Like, this took the entire Terraria day, because he had so much HP compared to my damage. And I didn't even get the Tempest Staff, and I didn't want to refight him. So all that did was just make the other bosses HP higher. Oh my god, bro. Just give me the thing I need. Are we serious? I don't even want to fight him again, bro. That took way too long. And the next step of the game was to fight the mech bosses, and this was pretty easy. You know, first I killed the twins, crafted Durendal, and then fought Destroyer and Skeletron Prime after. And then I made the hollowed armor. Anyways, the next boss is Plantera, and after I defeat Plantera, my DPS will skyrocket, because I'm going to unlock the Pumpkin Moon. Now, the Pumpkin Moon, obviously is going to be the Raven Staff, Dark Harvest, you know, good weapons, but it's going to drop the Necromantic Scroll. And I'm going to be able to stack up on so many Necromantic Scrolls, and I can buy Hercules Beetles to make the Papyrus Scarab. And I'm just going to have my accessory slots filled to the brim with Papyrus Scarabs, which is going to give me an insane amount of damage and summons. Next up, we got Plantera, and once again, not much to say about this fight, other than the fact that my arena was pretty small, so when she got in her second phase and the tentacles were everywhere, that was a little scary, but we pushed through, and we won. After defeating Plantera, I bought the Tiki armor from the Witch Doctor, then I headed to the dungeon, where I got the Morning Star, and I also farmed a bunch of Ectoplasm, so I could make the Pumpkin Moon Medallion. And then I summoned the Pumpkin Moon, and I got the Raven Staff, which is a huge upgrade, and I beat the Pumpkin Moon. Then I beat it again, and again, and again. And then I bought a bunch of Hercules Beetles, made a bunch of Papyrus Scarabs, and reforged all my accessories. My accessory slots were filled to the brim with summoner accessories only. And by this point, I was just too strong. I mean, just take a look at these clips. 4,000 damage? Are we kidding? Look at all these summons, bro. I'm Itachi, bro. Like, I actually have a whole army. Anyways, the next boss was Empress of Light, but she did not stand a chance. She actually died in seconds. Oh my, getting lasered. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, just erased from the game, bro. But anyways, then I fought her again in daytime, get the Terra Prisma, and it was the same exact thing, just obliterated. But if I wasn't strong enough before, now I'm on another level. Best summon in the game. 200 accessories of summoner equipment. Like, just look how long it took me to summon all my guys, bro. Like, there was a whole pirate invasion going on, and I didn't even move. Like, I didn't even notice, bro. No, ends right there. Ends right at the edge of the screen. Look at that, bro. Anyways, the rest of the game was just a cakewalk, bro. Golem, annihilated. Lunatic Cultist, annihilated. Pillars, annihilated. You thought Moonlord would be any different? No. First hand already disappeared. Second hand already disappeared. Forehead, eye gone. And this is the core. Like, he has 8 million HP, but that does not matter, bro. That was just too easy. So, I raised his HP to 100 times, but that didn't even change anything. 27 million HP. Or is that 277 million? I generally don't know. I mean, what did I expect, but it's still the same thing. It's actually just still so free, bro. I don't even take damage. I could just stand still. But there you have it. Terraria with basically infinite accessories. More like 200. But you get the gist. Obviously, it was very unbalanced, very broken. Especially after I unlocked the good accessories. But I'll see you around.
Bye.